Today's math lesson is 14-1. You should have this paper ready. We're going to be working on it together, so if you don't have that, go get it now. You will also need pencil and maybe some crayons if you want to use them. We're going to start off watching our math video, and then we'll work on our paper together.
Look at the counters. How many more yellow counters are there than red? These counters are hard to count. Do you think you could arrange the counters differently to make counting them easier? Yes, one way is to make a graph.
So what they're showing us here is that when the counters are all mixed up, the red and the yellow, and we just look at them quickly, it's a little bit hard to say, oh, how many red, how many yellow, which one has more, which one has less. If we sort them and we put all the yellow together and all the red together, it will be easier for us to compare which one has more, which one has less, and how many of each there are. And one way to do that is by making a graph.
To see how many more yellow counters there are, it is easier if the counters are in pairs. Each counter has a partner. Are the partners the same color or different colors?
So they're showing us that if we want to answer the question how many more or how many less there are, we can put them on the graph. So we're going to end up putting all the red up top and all the yellow down below, so then we can match them and see where they are the same, which ones have the partners, and then which ones don't.
They are different colors. How many red counters are on the graph?
Now it's a little easier to count the red. 1, 2, 3, 4.
There are 4 red counters. How many yellow counters are on the graph?
Now it asks us how many yellow counters are on the graph. So we also have 1, 2, 3, 4. They are the same amount. We don't have all of them on the graph yet, though.
There are 4 yellow counters. All the counters on the graph have a partner. There are no more red counters. 2 yellow counters do not have partners. There are 2 more yellow counters than red counters.
So now we can see a little bit easier, same, 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 extra, extra. And we can count that there are 2 extra, or we could say there are 2 more yellow than red, or we can say there are 2 less red than yellow.
The graph makes it easy to see which has more.
All right, so this is where you need to get your paper ready. Okay, we are going to be using this page, and of course, it wants us to use our counters, our yellow and red counters that I don't have at home, and I'm sure you don't have at your house either. So I've kind of made up my own graph here, and mine says heads and tails, and I'm going to use coins. So I got a handful of pennies, and each penny has 2 sides. One side has a head, and we've learned about this guy before. As a president of our country, this is Abraham Lincoln's head on the penny. And the other side, people call it tails because on a quarter, it's a picture of, well, some quarters have a picture of the eagle on the back for the tails. Now coins have different designs on them. So this one says 1 cent on the back, but we're still calling it tails. Heads and tails just mean opposite sides. Think about the head of an animal is at the top part of its body and the tail is at the bottom part of its body, or the front and the back. So we are talking about opposites. This is going to be heads. This is going to be tails. So I have 7 coins here, 7 pennies in my hand. I'm just going to shake it up. Okay, oh, one got loose. And then I'm going to just drop them gently right here. So then I can see my heads and my tails. So I'm not going to flip them over. I'm just going to move them heads, tails. This one is heads, tails, tails, head. There should be one more. There it is. And tails. Okay, so I can count up how many coins landed on heads. 1, 2, 3. And then I can fill in my graph here. So instead of doing the yellow and the red, I've got heads and tails. So I can start at the bottom and fill in 1, 2, 3. 3 of my coins landed on heads. For tails, I had 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the graph, I'm also starting at the bottom and I'm going to fill in 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I can see easily how many have heads, how many have tails, which one has more, which one has less, and how many more or less. So those are the questions that we're going to answer on our paper. All right. You should be doing this on your graph so you can fill in if you have your own coins and you want to fill in the heads and the tails. Or if you want to use mine, I filled in 1, 2, 3 for heads and 1, 2, 3, 4 for tails. Then we can answer the questions. Is there the same number of, it says colors, we did heads and tails. So did they have the same? No. One had 3 and one had 4. Remember our graph? They were not the same. So on the line for number 1, we're going to write N-O, no. Down below, which color has more? All right, so a little tricky here. Which one had more? It says color. For us, we did heads and tails. The tails had more. So you are going to write that word on the line, T-A-I-L-S. Remember A-I, when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking, so we hear the A sound. T-A-L-S, tails had more. So we're writing that word, tails, on the line for number 2. And then it asks, how many more? So we need a number. So here we've got same, 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 1 extra. So we're writing 1 more. Goes on the same line. We're writing tails and then 1. It had 1 more. You can pause it if you need more time or go back and finish it later. We're going down to number 3. Which color had fewer? Remember, fewer means the smaller or less amount. So, which one had fewer, heads or tails? The smaller amount was heads, so we're writing that word on the line for number 3. I know it's not a color, ours is a little different. Let's write H-E-A-D-S, heads. This one is a rule breaker. If we tried to sound it out, it should say heeds, heeds. But it doesn't follow the long vowel rule. So we have heads. Go ahead and write it on the line for number 3. And then it asks us how many fewer. So we've got same, 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 and then 1 less or 1 fewer. And again, we're writing that number 1 on the line. So for number 3, you should be writing heads and then number 1. Again, you can hit pause if you need some more time to work on that. We're going down to number 4. How many counters do not have a partner? So let's look. Partners where they're the same. Same, same. This one does not have a partner. So just one does not have a partner. We are writing 1 on the line. We had one more, one fewer, and one. It was all the same. We were using the same information for this one. So when you are ready, open up to the inside. And they are showing us some red and yellow counters to use to answer our questions. So the two counters on the side there, we're not going to count. That's just showing us what we were counting on our chart or on our graph. And then when we look at the graph, we can see how many red and how many yellow there were. For number 1, we're using this graph right here. Which color has more? So all we need to do is look at which one goes out longer using some of our measuring words. We can see that red has more. Everybody circle the word. Number 2, how many counters do not have a partner? So think about it, do not have a partner. Partner, 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 partner. He doesn't have a partner. So 1 does not have a partner. Write a 1 on the line. Go down below to number 3. This time we are using this chart, how many red and how many yellow. And it says which color has fewer. Fewer is a math word that means a smaller amount. So now we can see which one is smaller. Well, red is smaller this time. Circle the word. How many fewer red counters are there than yellow? So they want to know which ones don't have partners. How many do not have a partner? Partner, 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 and then 1, 2, 3. 3 yellow do not have partners. So we're going to write a 3 on the line for number 4. Write a 3 on the line. Okay, go over to this side. We are looking up top at the red and the yellow counters to answer the questions. Number 5 says, is the number of counters the same for each color? Well, let's look. They all have a partner. Red has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yellow has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are circling, yes, they do have the same amount in this one. Number 6 says, how many counters do not have a partner? Do they all have partners? Yes. So 0 do not have a partner. Write a 0 on the line for number 6. Look at your chart down below. Red counters, yellow counters. Number 7 says, is the number of counters the same for each color? Well, let's look. No, this time they are not the same. Red has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yellow has 2. So we are circling N-O, no, they are not the same color. Or not the same number for each color. Which color has more? Look at your chart. Which one has more? Red. And number 9, how many counters do not have a partner? So let's look. Same, they have partners, but these do not. Let's count the ones that do not have partners. 1, 2, 3, 4. Write a 4 on the line. 4 counters do not have a partner. Let's try it down at the bottom. It asks us to look at the graph, red and yellow. How many more yellow counters are there than red? So we see that they are not the same. Yellow has more, but we want to know how many more. Same, same, same. This one has one more. Write a 1 on the line. There is one more counter that does not have a partner. And when you are ready, turn to the back page. Take a look up top. This chart shows us stamps. Some of the stamps have animals on them and some have trees. They've put them in a graph so that we can count how many of each kind of stamp there are. And then the word problem tells us Jack has stamps with trees and stamps with animals. He made this graph. Can you tell from the graph if Jack has more tree stamps than animal stamps? What does the graph show? What can we learn from this graph? Well, a couple things. We can learn that he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 animal stamps. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tree stamps. We can see that he has the same amount of animals and trees. There is not one that has more or one that has less. They are the same. So on the line, we can write that. It says, what does the graph show? They are the same. So if you want to write your own answer on the line, that's fine. If you want to write that they are the same on the line, that is fine also. It's there for you to copy if you need to. You can always press pause and finish copying. But for this one, there is not one that has more and one that has less. They have the same amount. Go down to number 12. What does this graph show? We have yellow and we have red. Let's check each choice. There is one more red. Is that true? Is there one more red? Nope, there's no more red. Red has less. There are 2 more red. Does red have 2 more than yellow? No, once again, red has less. It's a smaller amount. There are 4 more yellow. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. That seems like a good choice. There are more yellow, and yellow does have 4 extra. Let's check the last one. The colors have the same amount. Do red and yellow have the same amount on this graph? No, they don't. So I think our choice should be letter C. There are 4 more yellow dots. Okay, down at the bottom, it asks you to write about how many more or how many fewer red and yellow there are. You don't have to do that. We have already talked about that. Good job graphing today. We will work on this again tomorrow.